Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Pennsylvania Veterans Forward. Today we sit down with National Legislative Chair Jim Brown, who's going to give us a November 2023 legislative update. His recent visit to Capitol Hill and what's going on in the Legislative Affairs Unit of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. It's a great episode. Glad he made the trip across the state, and we're excited to have him. So without further ado, let's get right to the episode.
Greetings, veterans and friends. John Otte, Pennsylvania Veterans Forward, your host here again. I am here today with an honored guest, my good friend and colleague, Mr. James Brown. He is our national representative for Pennsylvania for legislation on the VFW. Welcome, Jim.
Good to be here, John.
It's good to see you, brother. It is good to see you here again. We're here at the District 8 district meeting in November here, so Jim has come to speak to our district on a number of different issues and legislation. It is good to see you, brother, and I've been waiting for an opportunity like this. I'm glad you made the trip across the state to be here to get a legislative update. Lots of things happening.
A little bit going on since we've been in D.C. in September. There's been some moving on some bills that we're pushing as far as the priorities set forth. And yeah, I mean, everything so far so good, and just seeing if we can get some bills passed to help our veterans and their family members out.
So what's been cooking? I know there's you made a trip. When was that? Was that September to
mid-September? Early mid-September, we went down to Washington D.C. and the national VFW gives us priorities to touch on while we're there. And because there's a lot of bills we're working on, but obviously we can't talk about hundreds of bills at once. So they give us just select ones to choose and speak with the legislators with. A couple big ones that we're talking with is we have the Guard VA Benefits Act, which most of us probably have heard about the PACT Act and how it passed and how it's helping out a lot of veterans. But with any good thing, there's always the evil that comes out about with it. So we have unaccredited claim sharks out there stealing money from our veterans and the families, saying that they can do claims faster, get you more money, and that's just not true. It still has to go through the whole VA process. Pennsylvania, the VFW in general has accredited service officers. Pennsylvania itself, we have 33 in the VFW alone. Not to mention other VSOs throughout the state also have accredited service officers. And when I say accreditation, I mean if we help somebody and we do them wrong per se, our accredited service officers are subject to fines and imprisonment. The unaccredited ones, they just steal the money and move on to the next veteran. So we have legislation out there. It's HR 1139. Is the House bill, and S740 is the Senate bill. It's called the Guard VA Act and Guard VA Benefits Act, and that would put a stop to that and put penalties on these claim sharks. So.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, that's I'm glad this is happening because I know a fair number of veterans myself that have used attorneys for that to help them get their benefits. Is there something in this act, or is there something that if they do use an attorney, well, let me ask you that. Even if this act passed, can they use then an accredited attorney to get benefits?
Correct, yeah. There are accredited law firms and agencies out there. There are some, most of them are not. But yeah, I mean, we can't tell people not to use anybody. I mean, your choice is your choice. We just advise against using unaccredited people because, one, oftentimes they know you're not going to get your claim, and they're going to do it anyways and take your money up to where, you know, up towards $5,000 or whatever, you know, and not to mention they can come back later if you're trying to get an increase and put their hand back in your pocket again for a portion of that increase. So we highly frown upon having our veterans go out there and being taken advantage of. These, I mean, we call them claim sharks. I call them predators. So it's just, we have the free it's free. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. Our service officers, accredited ones, they're free. It doesn't cost the veteran anything. Just a little bit of time to come in and talk to see where they stand as far as a claim.
So that's a good point. Is that attorneys do charge fees. They do take quite a bit of a chunk of a veteran's benefits. I do have a friend of mine where they're reaching back into his pocket every month, taking a portion of that or billing him for a portion of his entitlements. If the veteran were to use an unaccredited resource, such as a law firm or something like that, is there any penalty to the veteran for doing something like that?
It has been known. There's no penalty per se to the veteran, but it has been known to where the VA can take your money back, and you can owe money that you have already been awarded back to the VA system, and we don't want to see that happen to any veteran, And I mean, other than that, I mean, no. I mean, a veteran can do what they choose to do. It's just, I hate to say it's just not a wise choice to go unaccredited. One, why pay somebody to do something that you have somebody that's trained, highly trained? Our accredited service officers get trained all throughout the year. They're always getting updated. They were just in Annapolis, Maryland, when I was down there in September for a week-long training. So I mean, they're always getting updated training. They know what they're doing, and why pay somebody and why take the chance of somebody coming back later to take more money from you?
I agree. Right. You fought for those, you fought and you earned those entitlements, you earned those benefits. Mm-hmm. Why give them away to non-veterans, right? And
correct.
Something that you've earned.
Yeah, they didn't earn that money.
That's true. Yeah, no, you're absolutely true. What other, so besides that, I know that there's been some updates, maybe the Richard Starr Act, there's been some PACT Act updates and things like that. Some of those other ones.
Just to touch briefly before we move on to a different one, New Jersey has passed a state law against these claim sharks, okay? So we're kind of in Pennsylvania. I've been asked to contact a few just regular state representatives in Harrisburg. On the down low per se, I guess this isn't really down low, we're on a video, but to kind of choose the individuals to maybe spearhead to get something like that on a state level, because we think that we can get it state by state, move through a little quicker, and then when the federal kicks in, it just makes it even better. So I'm in the infancy stage as far as that goes. I've reached out straight to the governor's office on it. I've gotten some good feedback there. And I've also reached out to Representative Banta, who is in Erie, because that's where I'm from, that area. And he's a Navy SEAL. He's on the Veterans Administration portion of legislation for Harrisburg. So
sure.
Hopefully we can get something moving with that. And he was in Harrisburg. He said, "Let me get back home and get a hold of me, and we're going to meet and talk a little bit face to face." So. Hopefully we can get something stirred up there.
Well, that's fantastic. And it's nice to see our legislators actively involved. I'm sure you being the national legislative person, point of contact, you know which legislators are friendly and which ones aren't. And I know you're actively engaged with both, but especially Correct. The ones that aren't.
Yeah, I have a lot of legislators that are very. They help us out a lot more than some of the other ones. Put it that way. You have to be very bipartisan in this whole scenario, and the help comes from both sides of the aisle, which is great. But I'm not going to throw people under the bus here, but there are some legislators that, since I've been doing this for 5+ years, they don't really jump on board with many of our priorities. And it's sad to say some of them are veterans. The legislators are actual veterans, and they're not jumping on board to help their fellow comrades, which is pretty sad, pathetic in a sense. So yeah, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but I let people know in their areas when I travel to their areas they need to contact these individuals.
Yeah, and I've seen you in action. I've seen you in action up on the Hill, and both you and Rich Cassie. Mm-hmm. very methodical, and you balance each other out really well when you're on the Hill.
Yeah.
It seems that you've got a good temperament between the two of you.
Yeah.
Kind of a good tempo.
Yeah. Rich is very enthusiastic about it. Not that I'm not. We definitely have different demeanors. He's a lot more studious than I am. I will say that. But yeah, I mean, we do complement each other very well. We know what we're talking about when we go in the offices before we go in. We know who's already on things, so we can. Oftentimes we go and we're like, give us this, give us this, give us this, and then oftentimes we don't thank them when they are already on something and things like that. So we make it a priority to know who's already on something, to thank them. Because, like I said, oftentimes they're never thanked for when they do help us with something. And those of you out there need to realize that. If you have somebody that's signing on a bill that's helping the veterans and their family, thank them for it. Because when they get that thanks, that pat on the back, they all, politicians like the pat on the back, love the pictures. And right. They need to know that we notice when they actually do something for us. So it helps later on doing things.
Yeah, and that's the important piece, is to let your legislators know. One, let them know, thank them for when they do support you, but also let them know what's on your mind and where you stand when they're not there, right?
Correct.
And that's, I know what, we're going to go on to some other bills, but that's, I'll give a shameless plug for Action Corps, right? When those, when that Action Corps comes out, we saw that. Yeah. We saw that at work at the last national convention.
Yes, several national conventions we've used the Action Corps. We've shut down the actual convention per se, and for a piece of legislation that we want passed, or even something we don't want to pass, we'll get an action alert that comes out. It's free to get on there if you care about veterans. Anybody age 18 and older, you don't have to be a veteran, you don't have to be an auxiliary member. If you care about veterans and you're 18, Action Corps is the way to get in touch with your local representatives in D.C. because it's based off your zip code, your address of where you live. And it shoots out every week. We get a update of some of the things we're working on a weekly basis in D.C. It also gives us a POW MIA update, which is really nice to see what's going on in that world, that realm. And it helps us. We would have never had that PACT Act passed without that Action Corps.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's a very, very awesome tool we have in our toolbox. In
the arsenal.
Yes.
Well, I want to see one. Let's see one of those knife hands. There it is.
Can I
there
just
it
show
is.
the picture?
Yes. There it is. Want you for Action.
Yeah. It's very effective. I got this photos hanging in many posts throughout the state of Pennsylvania. We in Pennsylvania are allowed to have what's called social members. So I highly encourage posts to put on their application that those social members have to sign up for Action Corps. The VFW belongs to the veterans.
Amen.
This is our building, okay? Not to cast shadow or anything on anybody else within the facility, but ultimately it does belong to the veterans. And when you have a social member wanting to come in, this gives them a way to show that they appreciate the veterans, that they appreciate us allowing them to be in our facilities. So, so I highly encourage that at posts throughout the state to put that on part of their application for social members.
Oh, without a doubt. It's me as a district commander when I go into the posts in District 8. Just as an example, I make sure that they're operating a veterans organization first, because a lot of times, especially now, veterans are getting pushed out. What else you got for us on some of the other acts?
So we got the TAP Promotion Act. I'm sorry, I have my notes because I update this every day. Anytime I'm talking to somebody, I get on there and get fresh updates so that I am up to date, accurate on who is and who is not on stuff. We have the TAP Promotion Act, which is when those of us getting out of the military, we go through transition the transition process. And this bill, it's HR 3933 and Senate Bill 2888. These would make it mandatory for accredited service officers to be part of that transition process, that TAP process, which in a roundabout way is a form of preventative maintenance, because it allows our veterans a chance to talk to an accredited service officer, see what's out there for them, see if they have a claim prior to getting out. When I got out of the military, I was fortunate on my base. We had an accredited service officer
right there,
years ago. And I was 20% coming out of the gate when I left. I mean, my claim was processed and everything, and 3 months out of the military, I had my 20%.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty fast. If anybody knows about the claims process, that's really fast.
Yeah.
So having these representatives on there, again, we'll go back to another tool in that toolbox to allow the veteran to see what's out there and see what maybe they're eligible. And it is a very key preventative maintenance thing, because oftentimes you just get the boot in the backside and say, you know, if they say see you later, they might not do that. Just you walk out the gate and you're lost. You don't know where to go next.
So that and that's great, having an accredited service officer when you transition. A few episodes ago, I had Melissa Singer from the transition. I can't remember the name of the outfit, but it was basically it was transition, that type of transition services for National Guard here in the state of Pennsylvania. So very much the same thing.
Correct.
Have you, speaking of that, have you seen a difference in the quality of transition services, or even the availability of transition services for National Guard versus what they get on active duty?
It's getting better. It's definitely not the same. We have had legislation in the past to try to get the transition process to be exactly the same on every single military installation, whether it's active duty, Guard, Reserve. We want everybody to have, or branch of service, we want everybody to have the exact same transition process. We're all defenders of this nation, no matter what we served in, you know, what branch, era, you know, active or Guard, Reserve, and we all deserve that same quality transition process.
Yeah, without a doubt. The availability of services, right? You all stepped up. You were all in country together. You all, you know, everyone fought together, or you put yourself at risk together in the same way. You should have access to the same transition services as well. Yeah. I know Pennsylvania just had a historic vote on the Clean Indoor Air Act. I don't know if you're up to speed on some of that, but maybe some of the local Pennsylvania legislations on, because that could mean a lot for our club rooms and our VFW posts that are currently still smoking.
Correct. I have been a little more putting my finger in this a little bit more than normal, because usually I just deal with the national aspect of it. But while I'm talking to the governor's office and a few of the reps within the state of Pennsylvania, I dropped that little dime in there as well. I'm like, hey, where are we at on this? I said, we got a lot of veterans that have health issues, breathing related health issues, you know, and we need this bill to pass. We need this bill so that it's straight across the board to where there's not smoking in any facilities. Because what's happened is, some places will go non-smoking. I mean, I know Pennsylvania, I'm going to speak for Pennsylvania because it's what they want in Pennsylvania in the VFW is non-smoking. I mean, normally I wouldn't speak for somebody else, but I know that's what they want in Harrisburg, in our office. Right now, it's a choice. And oftentimes when you're in an area, unfortunately, it's an economic choice that some of us have to make in our post. And when you go non-smoking some places, if there's somebody that a block away that is, you're going to lose a lot of business. However, the majority of posts that have gone non-smoking, sure, they faltered a little bit at first, but they've really come around, and they're getting younger veterans. We're getting more family-oriented, which is what we want to be. We want to be a family-oriented establishment for our veterans to feel comfortable to come in, to be able to breathe. Like I said, a lot of us have breathing issues, you know, whether it's COPD, you know, burn pits or whatever, you know. And when we all shut down for COVID, that was the perfect time for this state to go non-smoking.
Yeah.
And they dropped the ball. Okay. So right now, the bill has passed the health administration, you know, and now it's being sent further on down the food chain to see if we can get it, you know, passed in Harrisburg or not. I have a good feeling about it, truthfully, I do. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. I have a good feeling that there's a good chance it'll go through this time.
Sure, and I was just about to ask you what your gut feel as a legislator.
A lot of the things with it, I know the cigar bars and things like that don't want them to not be able to smoke. Well, they're a cigar bar. They want to be able to smoke. So what they've done on the health admin side to pass it through there, they're exempting them. So my thought is they'll probably be for this bill. As before, they wouldn't have been before it. So the more people we can get for it, more, you know, agencies we can get on board, whether it be, you know, the VFW or any other VSO or company out there. It's something that needs to happen, and it needs to happen across the board so that we can just all be on a fair playing field, you know, because like I said, I mean, oftentimes it's an economic decision, and you hate to put the health of others based on whether I can pay a bill or not.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Especially when veterans are collecting compensation or they're suffering from their illnesses, you know, from their combat exposure or their area of exposure. Exactly.
Yeah.
What else you got for us? Any other? I know you were busy for that week that you were on Capitol Hill.
And the last one I'm just going to touch on is it's not just a number act. All right, we talk about veteran suicide all the time. Everybody hears the 22. I mean, the number's not 22 anymore. It changes all the time. But until it's zero, we're never going to be stopping to fight for legislation. Realistically, I mean, it'll probably never be zero, unfortunately, which means we'll continue to fight. So what we got with the Not Just a Number Act is that every year the VA puts out a suicide prevention report. They collect data all year long. Well, they don't put any of this data in the report.
Right.
So this is a low to almost basically no cost bill. Costs the government no money basically, other than maybe somebody having to put a little extra few hours into putting this added information.
Sure.
They already have. And it can be preventative maintenance. I know at one point in time in my life, I was in a bad place. I found the VFW, okay, which helped me out a lot. Then I found out some of the resources the VA had. I went back to school through vocational rehab. I got my bachelor's degree with a minor in psychology, you know, and it brought me out of this funk that I was in, and it made my life better. So that's data they collected. Not that I was ever suicidal. I won't say that, but that data that they took on me could have been put in that report. Yeah. Say, oh wow, this stuff helped Jim. Sally over here is going through the same issues Jim had. Let's try to put her in these same things, and maybe it'll bring her out of that funk.
Yeah.
You know, again, data they already have. So the bill HR 4157 and Senate Bill 928. That's what this would do. It would make it mandatory to take that data that's already collected and put it in that annual report. And it's just that simple. It's a very simple bill. It's a new bill. It hasn't been out very long. But yeah, I mean, we've got a little bit, we have both senators on the bill already, which is great.
That's great.
We only have two. Since I've been in D.C., Congresswoman Wild and Congressman Kelly have gotten on there. So that's what's really neat is when we go to D.C. and we see people get on while we're there or shortly after we're there. It's like, okay, that's where the rubber meets the road when you're taking care of veterans.
Yeah, and when you're meeting with them like that, and you're saying, you know, you're not just a voice, a nagging voice. You're saying, look, there's a meaning to this.
Correct.
I mean, the explanation you just gave, right, would help influence anybody that heard that as well. Well, that's fantastic. As I said, I know you were busy. You know, we had kept in contact while you were out there.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous, just a tremendous job you're doing out there. So I want to switch to one final topic, of course, that I know you've been declared your candidacy for VFW State Junior Vice Commander, the high office of, and tell us a little bit about how that's going and what's your activity been like.
I mean, I feel it's going well. Obviously, I'm getting a very great welcome throughout the state. I mean, I'm gone every weekend, out and about, visiting districts and different posts throughout on the travels, and I mean, the welcoming I get when I go places, that's phenomenal. I mean, these people don't know me, but that's the whole purpose of getting out. So give them a chance to know me, and you know, I mean, most of them welcome you. You know, sometimes you're never welcome anywhere, but no, seriously though, it's great to go and listen to other comrades, listen to our auxiliary members as well, and see what's going on in their post. See what's working for them, what's not working for them, you know, and just sit and listen. Often, I wait until after the meeting a lot, and I sit and talk to people, and it's great. That's where we really get to know each other, and yeah, I mean, so far it's been really great. I've gotten a lot of support. I have a lot of support from past state commanders. I have 11 past state commanders that have endorsed me, you know, and that's phenomenal. You know, there's a few that have opted out. They want to stay neutral, which I completely respect that. But yeah, and I've gotten an endorsement of 4 districts already. Hopefully after today it'll be 5.
Right, yeah. We're in Macungie, Pennsylvania, at the District 8 meeting. So.
But what I highly encourage people to do, though, yes, I want to be the junior vice commander this upcoming year. Most definitely, that's what I want to do. I want that. But I really encourage people when I'm stopping at these district meetings and these posts and stuff and talking to people, I want them to know that they should send somebody to our state trainings. Even if it's just one person from your post, go there and learn something and bring it back to your post. That's how you're gonna make your post better, you know? And I always put the plug in at the end, you know, while you're at state convention, while you're there, you know, drop a vote in for me, you know, but.
Right. Yeah.
So, but really though, I really want them to be part of the learning process. It's hard to learn and grow when you don't leave your building, you know, and we need to learn. We need to network with one another. And there's a lot of networking at conventions and state trainings and things like that. And that's how we learn to better ourselves.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you know, being involved in all aspects of the VFW, not just your post, although that's where a lot of the work gets done, right?
Yes.
No doubt.
I'm a firm believer. I got a construction background, you know what I mean? And without that great foundation,
yeah,
the top crumbles. The post is our foundation. If we can't teach our post how to do things, if we can't get them moving in the right direction, the top is going to crumble.
A great segue into my next question was remind our viewers what your 3 guiding principles are as you crisscross the state campaigning for this position.
Yeah. A lot of people think mottos are silly. Okay, I don't believe so. My feeling is it tells you a little bit about yourself and what you expect per se from the people that you're going to be the commander of eventually. So my motto is ignite, unite, and push forward. Okay. So what I want you to do in the ignite process is you take, whether you were told to be in the military, voluntold, you know, some of our veterans, unfortunately, were voluntold.
Or some of us given different options, right?
Yeah. Or if you signed up to go in on your own. Be proud of that. You know, you were a member of our military. You know, you are a veteran and you deserve the honor, the honor given to you. I want you to take that and remember you had a fire and a passion, and I want you to reignite that fire that you had when you were out there with your sisters and your brothers and protecting them, you know, and you weren't just there. There was something burning inside of you.
Yeah.
So I want that burn to come back.
That's a good point. I've always said that anybody who joins the military does so because of a personal calling, and that's different for each and every person.
Yeah.
But it is a personal calling because that was a huge, major life decision.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So transitioning from now that you have that fire burning, I want you to realize, okay, we are a VFW. All right. I want you to be proud of your service. You know,
sure.
No matter what area you're in, what branch you were in, what conflict, war, whatever you were in, be proud of that. But we need to remember we're a VFW now, and I want you to unite as one VFW. And when we do that, it only makes us stronger. When we segregate ourselves, I mean, yeah, sure, we joke around, you know, oh, I was in the Air Force, you know, ooh, chair force here, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
They changed their motto, by the way, and I'll tell you about that later.
I'm sure they did. But anyway, sure, we joke around. That's all right. That's okay. Because we can do that amongst each other and get away with it.
Right.
Others,
right.
Yeah,
We're family.
Yeah, we're family.
Family.
Yeah. But I want you to remember, we are a VFW. You came to the VFW for a reason. You're still there. I want you to be part of that VFW and be part in every level, you know, starting at the post level. And until we can do that, if we keep segregating and pulling apart, it's not going to make us any better. We need to realize we are VFW first now.
Amen.
So.
Amen. And then your last one.
Yeah.
So it was ignite.
Yes.
Unite.
And now we're going to push forward.
And now push forward.
Okay. So I go back to my construction background. I was a combat engineer in the Air Force, and I specialized in heavy equipment. And my favorite stick time was on a D10 dozer, man. So you just hop on that thing, and whatever's in your way, you just push it. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to hop on that D10 with me. Okay. Now that we have that fire again, we're united again as a VFW. So I want you to hop on that D10 with me. I want you to push forward. And how do we push forward? Okay, we have a lot of knowledge that has come before us.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of past commanders, or even if they're not past state commanders, just a lot of our, I hate to use the word older, our elder statesmen.
Experienced, yeah, the more experienced people.
Veterans
Yep.
that have been around in the VFW for a while. They know how this works, okay? Sure, there's tweaks as we go, and there has to be tweaks. So that takes me into the next segue of this is we have to take in consideration those young veterans that are coming up that can evolve the VFW to where we need to move forward to. And there's a lot of knowledge with the younger veterans. There's a lot of things that, I'm a tweener, I'm 51, so I consider myself a tweener. So, but we have younger veterans that you give them a task and they can get it done in 5 minutes where it used to take, it'll take some of us 5 hours.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with technology.
Technology. That's the world we live in. So we need to take, like I said, take that experience. Do not brush those veterans aside that have been there and done that. We need them. But we also need our younger veterans, not only for their knowledge and their passion and their desire and energy. They got a lot healthier. Most of them are a little healthier than we are. So we need them around the post to help us do things physically as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and that's how I say we push forward. By, you know, the fire, the passion, the uniting as a VFW, and then taking the knowledge, taking the passion of everybody from the top to bottom age-wise, you know, 18 to 120. You know, everybody matters. And we need to take their advice and what they have to offer.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was, as I said, you announced your candidacy on our show, you know, last year.
Yeah.
Kind of a while back, kind of hinted at it.
Yeah, you pulled it out of me.
I did. I was glad to hear you announce your candidacy. I think it's great. I think you have the right. You have the right temperament and
Speaking of temperament, a lot of people think I'm kind of laid back, which I am. I'm a laid back person, you know, and I tell people, I said, yeah, I'm laid back. However, do not take that as a sign of weakness.
Right.
I will drop the gavel if need be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that needs to be. However, we need to be a little more compassionate at times, I think, and be a little more understanding. And I think when I went back to school to learn more about myself, my bachelor's is in human relations and, like I said, a minor in psychology. So I learned a lot about myself and how to interact and listen to people, you know. And I think we need to do that more often, other than just telling and say, this is how it is, this is how it is. That's not what we are, you know. We're better than that.
Yeah, for sure. And so if you, obviously a candidate for the high office of state junior vice, if what would you tell out those post commanders and those delegates who are listening to this show today? What would you want them to know as they step up to the mic in June? You know, hopefully they'll be. We hope you'll come to the convention.
Yeah,
that's the key.
That's the key thing. Getting there, man. Just get there first. Get there to learn. You know, voting is secondary to me. Again, I say I want you to vote for me. I do. I so much want to be in this position. You know what I mean? I want to be there, but I want you to be there and learn first. But when you're there, I want you to know when I become moving my way through the state chairs and I become your commander, I want you to know that I will do everything in my effort to make sure you learn and I get somebody to you if you need help with something. I want you to know that we're not just telling you to do things and expecting you to do things when you don't know how to do it. If you call the office, you call me personally, I will ensure, whether it's myself or somebody in your district or somebody, I will ensure somebody comes to you and helps you. I am not an enabler. I'll tell you that right now. I will not come and do your work for you. I will ensure somebody comes and teaches you how to do it. Because if we cannot teach you how to do it, what are we doing? You know, that's how we make you better. That's how we make the VFW at this post level, the district level, state, and national. If we cannot teach our people how to do the job correctly, I don't know what we're doing out there. So that's what I want you to know from me. I want you to know I will be there. I will make sure you have what you need, and a helping hand will always be there.
Well, Jim, that's very well said. I appreciate you coming here today. I know it was a long drive, 6+ hours, right?
Yeah, about 5.
About five
well
hours.
Worth it though. Yeah, it's always good traveling and seeing people, man. Because usually you don't have a lot of time to visit. You know, the past state commander Smith let me hang out at his house last night. You know, that was pretty cool. I appreciate that hospitality. You have let me stay at your home a few times. I appreciate that hospitality. It's great being able to, other than just meeting time, you know, because again, we don't have the opportunity to talk and just sit amongst our sisters and brothers, and we need more of that.
We do. So. We do indeed. Well, Jim, it is wonderful having you here on Pennsylvania Veterans Forward.
Always.
We've got to start doing more of these legislative updates more frequently. If you're elected junior vice, if you're elected into the chairs, will you continue to do this work until you're actually the state commander?
I've actually spoken to probably the incoming state commander, Barb Lonkar, and I informed her that due to the fact that I want to put more effort and focus in the chairs throughout the state, that I'll be stepping down in June. Rich will be sticking on, as far as I know. I've been told that he'll be staying on, and I've dropped a name to Barb, and I feel that that individual will probably take my spot, and I think she will do a great job. I think it would be great having a female on the ledge team. We need to. That's part of the evolution here. We need to evolve and allow our female veterans to be more involved. Allow them to do that. Allow them to do things, and yeah, that's how we evolve.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I'm sure since she hasn't been appointed yet, you don't want to drop a name, but she's going to have. I'm sure whoever you've recommended is of the same pedigree that you are. So
yeah, I think she's a little bit more than me. I think she has a lot more resources than I do. So I think I'm not downplaying myself in any way, shape, or form, but I think she will definitely have more resources than I will, than I've had. So.
Well, that's great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been James Brown, who is the member of the National Legislative Committee for Pennsylvania for the VFW, and also a candidate for the high office of State Junior Vice Commander. Jim, it's always a pleasure to see you, brother.
Yes,
I always
likewise,
enjoy.
brother.
I always enjoy, and I don't hate you because of your ASVAB score.
No,
So,
you can't hate me for ASVABs, buddy.
Air Force veteran here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Jim, thank you so much for your time. And this has been another episode, Legislative Update of Pennsylvania Veterans Forward. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we'll see you on the next episode.